Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever stopped to think about just how delightfully weird the English language can actually be? We use it literally every single day, yet we so rarely pause to appreciate the hidden rules and kind of secret mechanics that make the whole shebang work seamlessly. Today, we're taking a fascinating journey together. We're going to build from the absolute tiniest grammatical building blocks, the humble articles a, an, and the, all the way up to the thrilling world of narrative composition. And finally, we'll dive into a deep, philosophical debate about human memory itself. It's a lot of ground to cover, but I promise you it's going to be incredibly rewarding. So let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the magic of English articles. Then, we'll master the definite article. After that, we're crafting a captivating narrative. And finally, we'll wrap up with precision in reading comprehension. Okay, part 1. The magic of English articles, specifically, why sound trumps spelling. Think back to the basic grammar rules you probably learned as a kid. You were likely taught to use an before a vowel and a before a consonant, right? Well, take a look at these two phrases, an hour and a university. Hour starts with an H, a consonant, yet we use an. University starts with a U, a vowel letter, but we use a. Here is the massive aha moment. The rule for indefinite articles is entirely based on auditory vowel sounds, not the actual letters printed on the page. Because the H in hour is silent, the very first sound you make is actually a vowel. And because the U in university makes a U sound, it acts exactly like a consonant. Mind-blowing, right? Seeing these tricky examples side by side makes the auditory rule just crystal clear. Take words like an honest man, or even acronyms like an MP or an MLA. They take an because you literally pronounce that vowel sound first, MP. Conversely, phrases like a European or a one-eyed man take a because they start with consonant sounds, u and wa. It completely flips the script on how we normally look at spelling, and it's a great reminder that English is first and foremost meant to be spoken.
Moving right along to part 2, mastering the definite article. Let's look at the rules of the. Now, the seems like a tiny, almost insignificant word, right? But precision here is absolutely crucial. It's exactly what prevents total misunderstandings in our everyday communication. It's the ultimate tool for taking a general, vague idea and pinning it down to a specific reality. Let's run through a rapid-fire list of rules to show just how versatile and highly specific the word the truly is. You use it when the noun is already known to the listener, like give me the book. You use it for unique existences, like the sun. We also apply it to specific classes of people, such as the poor. It goes before major oceans and rivers, like the Ganga. And it even precedes certain countries with adjectives in their names, like the United Kingdom. It is literally the grammatical glue holding our specifics together. So the absolute crucial point here is context. Notice how adding just a few extra details completely changes whether we use the article or drop it entirely. Let's look at 2 sentences. He studied history. Notice there's no article before history because it's a general abstract concept. But look what happens right next to it. The history of Rome. The exact moment we define that noun with a few extra details, it ceases to have a general meaning, and boom, we are forced to include the. Okay, part 3. Crafting a captivating narrative. Let's talk about building your story. Let's step away from the strict structural rules of grammar for a second and plunge into the creative, thrilling world of storytelling. To really ground this, let's look at the core ingredients of a narrative composition. You see, a true narrative isn't just a dry list of events. To make it actually come alive, you absolutely need an interesting incident at its core. You need vivid characters that the reader can actually picture in their mind's eye. You need a suitable background or setting where it all unfolds. And importantly, you need a specific mood or aim. These are your raw materials. They're basically your paints on the palette. Now, once you've got those ingredients, the hardest part is often just figuring out how to start. The text advises us to begin with a bang, and it gives us 4 highly actionable ways to do exactly that. Number 1, plunge straight into the action. Picture a truck crashing through a front room. You are instantly in. 2, use an arresting or unusual detail. 3, set the scene carefully, creating a really thick atmosphere before the action even begins. And 4, open directly with dialogue. Why does all this matter? Because strong narrative openings are what keep your readers hooked from the very first word. And hey, once you have them hooked, you've got to deliver on those vivid characters we just talked about. Just listen to this absolute masterclass in character description from Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. As he glided stealthily along, creeping beneath the shelter of the walls, the hideous old man seemed like some loathsome reptile. Notice how that description doesn't just blandly tell you he's the villain, it makes you physically feel the slime and the darkness. That brilliantly illustrates the power of striking character descriptions in narrative writing. Bringing us to our final section, Part 4, Precision in Reading Comprehension, focusing on macro analysis. For our final discipline today, we're moving from writing our own stories to sharply analyzing the stories of others. This is where we step back for some macro analysis. The text poses a really great question. When you come across the phrase, reading between the lines, I would say that she is unhappy. What does that actually mean? Does it mean the words are hidden in some special literal code? Well, no. It means that although she hasn't explicitly said she is unhappy, you are guessing that she is, based entirely on subtle clues. This shows us that true comprehension isn't just about reading words on a page, it's about inferring hidden, unspoken meaning. This really builds out our analytical toolkit, proving that reading comprehension is actually a highly structured investigative process. The text breaks comprehension down into a few distinct categories. Sometimes you're looking at simple subject matter observation, just the facts, right? Other times it's vocabulary usage, but the deep work, that happens in imaginative inference, like guessing a character's motives, and in analyzing the writer's actual arguments and style. You are essentially acting as a literary detective. To put this investigative process to the test, the source material introduces a truly fascinating comprehension passage. It's about the Egyptian god Thamus, and it sets up a profound philosophical debate about the invention of writing itself. Just imagine being an ancient king, presented with the brand new concept of letters, and instead of celebrating, you are utterly terrified of what this new technology will do to humanity. The passage quotes Thamus issuing this incredibly stark warning. For this invention will produce forgetfulness in the minds of those who learn to use it. Their trust in writing will discourage the use of their own memory. He basically argued that writing wasn't an elixir of memory, but merely an elixir of reminding. And this brilliantly illustrates the power of deep reading comprehension. It forces us to grapple with massive, timeless ideas. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative final thought. Now that we've spent this entire explainer mastering the intricate rules of written English and narrative, are we, just as Thamus warned centuries ago, accidentally losing our inherent human ability to simply remember? It is definitely something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.